Good evening. The Toronto Raptors lose 116, 109 to the New York Knicks. The bench gets killed, specifically by Dante fucking DiVincenzo. What the fuck? Masai, why don't you bring a fucking guard in like this? What the fuck? What are you fucking stupid? Look at this fucking kid. He has 7 fucking threes. And this mic is going fucking out of control. Does anybody else have a Blue Yeti mic that just wilds out once in a while? But yeah, I was kind of thinking during this game, Masai was in attendance. Kayla Gray, shouts to Kayla Gray, who I felt like really kind of called him out in the moment. I don't remember what the previous question was, but he answered it in a way that was like, la da da, whatever. And she's just like, okay, so no direction then. How's my audio doing? Blue Yeti Microphone Company, get your shit together if you're listening to this, because by all accounts, you're out of control sometimes. Um, but you saw tonight Dante DiVincenzo, who like as the game's going on, I'm kind of thinking like this is the exact player that would be great for the Raptors and who management like doesn't seem to want to sign. When you think about like Schroeder, I haven't gotten that yet, but like the only reason he's been really good for the Raptors. Guard play is cool, but he's only brought in because of Fred. Like if Fred um, was still on the team, there's no way they would have brought Dennis in. And you see like the drop off from Dennis to Malachi. We had another Malachi game of so I just thought that was kind of like emblematic. The Knicks are the 7th best 3-point shooting team, and I think that was really kind of the difference in the game. But that's boring to focus on. I want to focus on the Pascal Siakam, Julius Randle mid-off. They basically had the exact same stats in the game, like almost like funny, like pretty much across the board. Like, and they play the same game. They're like basically the same player. I guess Siakam's a better defender, but they take shots in the same place. They don't work in the flow of an offense in the same way. They make weird decisions in the same way. They're kind of sloppy in the same way, not super aesthetic in the same way. So tonight, Julius Randle was like 8 for 15. Pascal was 7 for 16. They both had 8 turnovers. They both had 20. I think they both had like 21 points. Like they had the same. I think Randle was plus 20 something and Siakam was minus something, 20 something. But you're going to get your turnovers. You're going to get Siakam running into 3 people, jumping up before he makes a decision. You get about 2 or 3 of those a game, and he had 3 turnovers today, and probably 2 or 3 more like generated turnovers, like just horrible passes to people who don't know what to do with it. Don't like not. I think he gets too excited for basketball. It seems like he just gets too. He can't calm himself down. He's just so fucking like just like it's wild. So yeah, him and Randall like coming into the game, they're often compared. They even have like the same spin moves. Really, just Randall being a lefty is kind of the big differentiator. Randall definitely not super excited about basketball like Siakam is. They're kind of opposite in that kind of aura way where like Siakam would be like the guy on the road trip who's just like, hey, look at that. 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 And I think Randall would just be like napping in the back or being grumpy about like not stopping for food or something. Um, but yeah, just an ugly game from both of them, and it was kind of weird. Siakam in the second quarter got like more than half of his points. Him and Scotty combined for 18. That was their best quarter. But then the rest of the game, I didn't really notice him. Scotty, I definitely noticed more consistently throughout the game, and he had that one stretch where he was just stepping into threes like LeBron, basically, just with like that much confidence, just stepping into them. What did the Raptors hit 5 threes tonight? I think Scotty hit 3 of them. So he hit most of their threes. Pascal, I think, took 5 threes tonight or something. Again, he's shooting like 9% in November. Scotty added the 3 in the offseason. Pascal's trying to add the 3 during the season. And it's the same thing every game. He comes out, he misses like 4 of them in the first half, and then there's like maybe 1 in the second half. They're pretty much, there was one today where it was like kind of the end of the shot clock, whatever, but a lot of these are just pull-ups, lots of time left in the shot clock. OG shot like shit tonight. His shot was awful tonight. Everything was short for him. He played good defense, but I don't know. The Raptors just kind of looked like they don't play a game till Wednesday. The fuck is going on? I did notice that the Raptors have played, I think this is their 20th game, and there's some teams that have only played like 14 or 15 games. So I guess the other teams have to catch up. What was it, 8 games in 13 nights? And it kind of looked like some of the players were OG's legs just didn't really look like he had it tonight. I thought Jakob played really well. He's definitely, he's not like the talk of the town, but he is consistent in what he does. You kind of always know. I think there's only been 1 or 2 just like baffling Jakob games. Like you pretty much know what you're going to get. And Dennis, continues to get lots of assists and not very many turnovers, so that's good. But I think in terms of like what determined the game, well, the Scotty plus bench was interesting because at first it was not working at all. It was like Malachi bringing the ball up, Precious operating, doing God knows what. Still not setting screens, by the way, which that's the next video coming. I got 2 videos coming out soon. Precious screens and Scotty jumping over Malachi. But yeah, Precious continues to just set these weird, like, non-screen screens that are just really weird to watch. But that bench unit didn't work until Scotty got really aggressive, and then, they go on a 7-0 run in the second quarter, and in a different lineup, Siakam got pretty much all of his points from this game in the second quarter. And so when Kayla Gray was doing her Masai interview, it was kind of like a good point in the game. But again, I was really shocked that Masai was doing an interview because he's usually pretty like secret and low key, but then it was his Giants of Africa night. So I was like, okay, that makes sense. But then, yeah, props to Kayla Gray for asking him, or basically saying like, so there is no direction. Because he just gave one of his like, yeah, we want to win. We want to win. We like to win. We want to win, and we like to win because we want to win. And she was just like, okay, so there's no direction then. It was great. That was like the best moment of the game. That could maybe be a video. Boucher came on with crazy energy. Scotty plays really good defense on Randle. Siakam cooks Randle on the spin. And Siakam and Scotty 18 points in the second quarter. OG had a massive block on Barrett. I thought OG played pretty good defense tonight. Maybe that's another reason why his shot was so short. Pascal dropping balls and Scotty stepping into threes like crazy. Gary had like 2 really nice assists in like 2 minutes, and he has like 15 assists this season. So it's pretty incredible, Precious, I mean, good offensive rebounding, but yeah, the variance in games is tough. Like it's like with Jakob, you really know what you're gonna get, and then with Precious, it's kind of the opposite. It's it really varies from game to game, and probably the most baffling thing in the game is, so last game down the stretch, the Suns game, Scotty, wow, great time for my voice to get fucky. That's excellent, body. Thank you for that. Fuck, are you kidding me? I don't know how long this podcast is going to be. That doesn't sound good. Great timing. try to barrel through. My voice art usually just sounds like trash anyways. But in the Suns game, yes, or whatever long ago that was, feels like a million years ago. The Scotty plus bench lineup was really good, and it was good again in this game once Scotty became aggressive, which was the key in the other time the bench lineup with Scotty was good against in the Suns game. But in this one, I don't know why, because Darko goes with the OG plus bench, and Knicks go on a 10-0 run in the third quarter, and that kind of felt like the game at that point. No idea what the logic is behind that. Absolutely no idea, because he tried that in the Phoenix game after the Scotty bench lineup again at the end of the third quarter again, and it was horrible, and it only lasted for like a few seconds, and they had to call like an emergency timeout to get them off the floor. And Darko said, let's try OG out there again with the bench lineup. Again, OG, not a creative, we saw him draw the Drake Owl. I don't know how creative he is. He's talented, but I don't know if he's creative. There's a huge difference between those two things. And just seems like a very strange character to run a bench lineup. But obviously Darko sees something that I don't. So going to have to leave it to the professionals, the basketball geniuses, that I guess there is upside to an OG plus bench lineup with Malachi, McDaniels. Masai said it's up and down, which is that's what 500 is. It's up and down. I mean, look at the Atlanta Hawks. They're like the perpetual meme 500 team. Like the below 500 Atlanta Hawks are undefeated. There's not a better team in sports than a one game below 500 Atlanta Hawks. And that's kind of what the Raptors are. So, yeah, kind of a boring game in a way. Like, I watched the Knicks Pistons last night. That was way more fun than this game. Brunson was cooking in that game. I thought Dennis played good defense on Brunson, and I thought Scotty played really good defense on Randle. I don't think they played great defense on Pascal. I just think he likes to run into traps. I don't know, like when he goes hiking, does he just look for bear traps to like walk into? He loves running into traffic. That's like his favorite. And then just like either getting a call or screaming, which everybody kind of mocks on the other bench. And again, I think it's this thing with the broadcast where I think there's more like Pascal haters. I said this before, but just like the dishonesty with, I mean, they do it with all the players. Like there is a bit of a Scientology aspect to the sports broadcast. Like you're not really supposed to, but even they read out his 3-point percentage, which I was like shocked that they did that. Usually when players are shooting like that poorly, like Devlin, Alvin, like they're not bringing those numbers out. So I was kind of surprised, but it's like, that's maybe a bit of a step in the right direction, because then because when you don't do that, when you don't address that, then anybody who does address it, it becomes this really like controversial thing, and then they get more attention because they're doing that, and it's like, oh my God, they're saying the thing that nobody else is saying. Whereas just, I think, be more honest about the mid-off. Like there was, when Scotty was getting momentum in the third quarter, hitting shots, hitting threes, Pascal had 2 possessions where it took a shitty shot and then got a turnover. And it's like, it's not in the flow of the game. Your pull-up threes are not in the flow of the game. Like, you're putting up numbers, but a lot of these nights that he's getting 20 points, it's like 8 for 17, 6 for 19, like 0 for 4 from 3, 0 for 5 from 3. It's just been a weird season for him. And I thought that this game was kind of like a good encapsulation of that, where it's like, okay, he's got 21 points, great. 9 rebounds is good, but I don't know. I don't even know. Like, it's it's a weird it's just kind of a weird situation. I don't know how well he fits into what Darko's trying to do. It's funny, like Lee Ellis, I think Lee Ellis from Australia, he posted a thing about like um, what's popular in Serbia. He goes around the world and plays pickup. He used to be on No Dunks, but he goes and plays pickup in a bunch of countries. And he posted a thing today about basketball in Serbia. He was playing in some old fortress in Serbia, really cool looking court. But he was just saying how like in Serbian basketball, it's just always been this tradition of like ball movement, lots of assists, playmaking, and that kind of goes not really how Pascal I mean, there's games where he like will rack up assists or have, but it's not like a consistent. It's like when Gary gets 2 assists in like 2 minutes or whatever. It's kind of like you write those down in your notebook. Like it's not something that is inherent like to his game. Like that's why him and Randall get compared so much, because it's a very similar shot diet, ISO diet, fitting in the offense, and from what I've heard, I don't have any information that you guys don't have, but I've heard kind of the trade packages for Siakam have been like, guys like DeAndre Hunter. That's kind of the centerpiece, at least. It's kind of like when Fred was going for like Brandon Boston and Luke Kennard. I think the front office, like they even talked about on TS, I think it was on TSN or somebody I listened to today, just about how the front office gets too attached to its players, especially players that it's drafted. And yeah, I just thought that Dante, because what did the Knicks get? Like, what is Dante DiVincenzo? Like, he was rumored. I feel like he was rumored to go to the Raptors. I feel like Damian Lillard is rumored to go to the Raptors. Malcolm Brogdon is rumored to go to the Raptors. Like, all these guards have been kind of like rumored to go to the Raptors, almost went to the Raptors, or going to go to the Raptors, but they ultimately end up with like Garrett Temple, Thad Young, McDaniels, these like taller guys that can't shoot. And then Otto, who plays every second or third game, which was kind of always going to be the deal. And again, with Fred doesn't leave, there's no way they're bringing in Dennis, which, like, if Fred was still on this team, Dennis would still make sense as, like, I don't know if he would be backup or starting. That's an interesting debate. But it's like the Raptors can only have one point guard. It's like, and they're just really thin. They don't really have a shooting guard in the starting lineup. Like, that's weird. You don't really see that too much in the NBA. But they're like the 27th best offense, so you gotta respect what they're. You gotta respect that, Yeah, tough game. Dante DiVincenzo, him and Josh Hart, they were 7 for 11 for Josh Hart, 7 for 10 from the field, and from 3, 7 for 9 for DiVincenzo, 3 for 4 from Josh Hart. Man, they were absolutely cooking in a game where RJ went 6 for 18, Brunson went 9 for 21, Randall went 8 for 15. Quentin, you is not him, Grimes, 4 points in 21 minutes. I think I kept track of it last playoffs, where I think Quentin Grimes had like, I think it was 14 points in like 299 playoff minutes or something. It was something just insane like that I kept reposting on Twitter every time the Knicks played a game, just being a jerk. But I don't really understand. To be fair, I've watched 4 Knicks games this season. I don't really understand why Quentin Grimes is starting over a DiVincenzo or a Josh Hart even. But, you got RJ is a shooting guard, Grimes is a shooting guard, Hart's a shooting guard, DiVincenzo is a shooting guard. So they're kind of built the opposite of the Raptors. They got a bunch of guys. Shouts to Evan Fournier. But yeah, they only went with 4 guys off the bench, and they just absolutely, and like numbers wise, the Raptors bench weren't horrible, and actually Boucher and McDaniels were the only pluses on the Raptors. Jakob was a 0. Like numbers wise, they weren't horrible. Like Boucher was 4 for 10. Precious, 4 for 11 isn't great, I guess. At least he took shots. Only 0 for 1 from 3. So, man, he missed a bunch of close. Need to watch the tape back, but Gary. Now that I'm looking at the numbers a little bit more, maybe the bench is not so great. Gary 2 for 6, 4 points, minus 18. That's not very good. So yeah, nobody off the ball. Boucher had I thought Boucher was good. Like, can't really say anything bad about Boucher in this game. And weird that he didn't really play last game. But yeah, I thought the game was, it was close for most of it. I felt like it was really lost in the OG plus bench lineup in the end of the third quarter. Knicks going a 10-0 run. How does that lineup make any sense whatsoever? Like, what's the thought process behind that? And I know that you're thin at point guard, at guard, but that's how this thing was designed. Good for Kayla Gray for asking, or for kind of making that statement. I would love to ask Masai, like, why do you hate guards? Just that, like, that's it. A lot of times when people ask questions, they'll give a bunch of like mumbo jumbo that the person can then bridge off of. So it's like, why don't you like guards? Blah blah blah. Forwards are this, da da da. And I had a chicken salad earlier. What do you think about this? That's how a lot of reporters, they don't just, if you just ask the blunt question, you don't give them any, because bridging, they just will say like, oh yeah, chicken salad. My son likes that. We like, this organization, we value all positions of power. Whereas you're just like, why do you hate guards? There's like, it's kind of like, oh, like that those first 3 seconds where he doesn't know what to say, that's where you're going to get some form of authenticity. But yeah, I just thought the DiVincenzo thing, kind of like the Malcolm Brogdon in the Blazers game. It was Malcolm Brogdon who like cooked the Raptors down the stretch. That was a totally winnable game. I think it was like game 5 in the season. Scoot wasn't doing anything in that game. This was pre-goggle Scoot. And Malcolm Brogdon came in and with some competent guard play, torched the Raptors going down the stretch in the fourth quarter and won them the game. Got Alex Caruso hitting which he did last night. Bulls, you got to build around Caruso. I'm like not even joking with that. He low-key has a 70% true shooting, 46% from 3 in his first team all defense. Seems like the type of guy that you could crank his usage rate in his minutes, and like I think the numbers would hold up. That's way too sane. They won't do that. But personally, as a guard, always a guard, not really up for debate. I do get a little bit of joy. I hate to admit this, Raptor fans. I hate to admit this, but I do get a little bit of joy when it's a guard, especially like not a star guard, like somebody that the Raptors could hypothetically have had if they would have cared about guard play. I love it when they come in like a Dante DiVincenzo and just hit 7 threes. That's 21 points. I love it. Like that sick part of me that's in therapy, loves it. Like even more than maybe the Raptors winning. I love it. Like that's how much because it's such an insult to people under 6'9". I know I've talked about this too much, but so I talked about the Siakam Randle mid-off, and I just want to read their stats because that was really funny. So Randle was 8 for 15. Pascal was 7 for 16. Randle was 1 for 4 from 3. Pascal was 0 for 4 from 3. Randle had 10 rebounds. Siakam had 8 rebounds. Wow, Randle 9 assists. Siakam only 3 assists. 3 turnovers for Siakam, 2 turnovers for Randle. I didn't really notice Randle's 9 assists. So maybe that was a bit unfair of me in the but still 8 for 15, 1 of 4 from 3. And he continues to have a really poor shooting season. And yeah, I don't know. It's games like this where the team just makes no sense. And we got Spike Lee in the building. I keep meaning to rewatch Do the Right Thing. That was a movie he studied in film class. Almost said film class. Way back in the day, and been meaning to rewatch that. I like when he's walking down the street with the Dodgers jersey on. That like always popped to me, that scene. Got Josh Hart and Jalen Brunson. They're kind of cringy on social media. I don't know if people have seen that. Kind of like they're like JJ. They're like you could put them and like JJ Redick, and they'd have like a dinner party with like Tommy Alter, and they would joke about like breast milk and like Brendan Schaub stand-up material. Raps could use Dante DiVincenzo, hot take. But yeah, that OG bench lineup, man. If I get it that the Scotty bench lineup is doing better, but that's only because Scotty is initiating. He's the one taking the shots, and when he's not, and it's Precious initiating, which happened a couple of times tonight, at least once or twice tonight that I remember, probably happened more, but when he's initiating, when Malachi is initiating, Malachi is again back to his bullshit, back to his fucking running up the court. At least he's running faster, running up the court, passing it to somebody, and then just going to Mars, just disappearing, like not attacking, not looking for offense, just pass and cut. It's like when you go to a pickup game and you're on a team with, like, imagine you go to a pickup game, you're like 5'10", and there's only one tall person on your team, and there's like 4 guards, and you're the third best ball handler. And you don't really play with these people, like you're just kind of there. They have established chemistry. There's a pecking order. You're not going to be the one checking the ball. Like, it's not happening for you. When you get the ball, you're passing it and you're cutting, and you're just never really a part of it. That's what it feels like with him. And the games that are notable are when he's like a psycho, like Jalen Suggs kind of prototype on defense. Not that insane. But then on offense, initiating. But the hard part about being Malachi is most of the time you're on the floor, Scotty is also on the floor, and it's much better when Scotty initiates. So if you're Malachi, you're kind of in a weird place where you're probably best in those situations as an open shooter. If I think teams are going to start doubling and trapping Scotty more in these lineups. Like, that's going to become a thing now because it's pretty obvious that if you took him out and you take him out of the lineup, you put OG, all of a sudden you go from that being a 7-0 Raptors run to a 10-0 Knicks run, which is what happened in this game and what happened in the game, in the Suns game. So you neutralize Scotty in that lineup, and it's dead. It's like toast. That's why you couldn't really ever blame him earlier when it wasn't working, because it's a lot of the construction of it is kind of odd. So if you're Malachi, are you better just as a corner 3-point shooter? Because I think his 3-point percentage is still, it's fallen off a little bit, but I think it's still like, for this team, he's like Ray Allen, basically. So yeah, he's in a weird, not to like give him an excuse, but what are you supposed to do if you're him when most of the time you're playing? Like I don't think he's playing as much anymore either. What did he play tonight? Malachi Flynn, only 11 minutes tonight, and that seems like kind of a more normal like circumstance lately, with him. So I don't really know like what his role is. It's kind of like, I guess I know what Precious's role is. I think he just doesn't really follow it. But um, with Malachi, it's a weird one. Aiden Pham says low key miss Leo Rollins on Sportsnet. I was wondering this. Was Leo at Sportsnet? Because that makes more sense. Because I was like, who was before Alvin? It was Leo, but then Leo's at TSN. Was Leo poached from? What's the Leo rounds? I think that might be it for the game. 30 minutes. I've noticed when I start bantering that the viewership doesn't go, like it doesn't fall off a cliff, which I thought was pretty cool. Like when I start talking about random shit like self-defense or traveling, the viewership actually doesn't drop. Like it gives you the graph after the stream's over, and I don't like obsess over it, but I like take a glance at it. I'm like, oh, it was, because in my head I'm like, oh, everybody's leaving now. I've stopped talking about Pascal Siakam's journey in the world. But yeah, so Leo, I was wondering that was Leo on Sportsnet before, and then TSN poached him because yeah, maybe he's maybe a little too qualified for his role. I do wonder what the Alvin Williams like future is. I think he would be good in Leo's role, where you're doing like breakdowns and. But I don't know if I don't think he loves being on camera. So, like whenever they show Alvin and Matt, he doesn't necessarily look like he's like at Disneyland when they're filming him. It's kind of like, please just cut to the other screen, or please just get me into the seat where I'm just on mic. So I don't know how he would do in that studio environment, but Sportsnet fired their Blue Jays person yesterday or 2 days ago. So, I mean, I guess you never really have a job. Don't go on an entrepreneur, build your own intellectual property rant, but yeah, build your own intellectual property. In the chat, bench was 52-25 Knicks. Yeah, I mean, you can't really expect the Raptors to get 52. You can't really expect them to get that many like the Knicks had, but yeah, you're not going to win that many games when you get outscored 52-25 on the bench, which, say it a million times, but these are the types of games where what did the Raptors shoot from 3 tonight? Let me look. I think it was like I think it was pretty disgusting. 6 for 32. The Raptors shot 6 for 32 from 3. So Dante DiVincenzo had more threes than the Raptors. Josh Hart had more threes than the Raptors. So Scotty had half of their threes. Scotty had half of the Raptors' threes tonight. Pascal Siakam 0 for 4 from 3. OG Anunoby 1 for 6 from 3. Scotty 3 for 7 from 3. Jakob 0 for 0. Dennis 1 for 6. Boucher 1 for 4. McDaniels 0 for 2. Precious 0 for 1. Flynn 0 for 1. Gary only 1 3 in this game. 23 minutes. Love the assists, but man, where's the 3 ball? Yeah, I mean, I had the meme thought up that I forgot to post of like Siakam in the 3 ball is kind of like Kurt Cobain and Courtney Love, but it's pretty much this whole team outside of Scotty. Man, 6 for 32, 18%. 18% from 3. I know you guys know what 18% is, but if you took 100 threes, 18 of them are going in. That's just someone asked how watchable are the Raptors? It was a couple games ago. 6 for 32 from 3 is like, honestly, the Detroit Pistons last night put up a better fight against this Knicks team. I mean, they let Brunson out. Brunson had 42 last night. They let Brunson just go berserk. But All in all, I think the Pistons game was closer. It was more competitive. It was more competitive. The Pistons at one point had 19 points and 10 turnovers, but they managed. Killian Hayes was out there cooking a little bit. Looked better than Cade for a lot of the game, which if you're a Pistons fan is like kind of horrifying. But I think they put up a better fight than the Raptors did tonight with no Bogdanovich, no Monte Morris, no Joe Harris. Um, the Raptors were close for a lot of this game, but like it just never felt like they didn't ever have momentum. It felt like, you know what I mean? I don't know, just wasn't there. Uh, Last two losses, it was bad basketball. I would like to see Pirtle with the bench, says Haroon. Pirtle with the bench. I know Dennis and Jakob play with the bench, but do you mean just Pirtle? I haven't thought about that. Mitchell Robinson is a tough piece. What did you say? Mitchell Robinson is very tough and love what he is about. Helping people? Okay. Shout out to Toronto, though, says somebody. Vegan Grass, can you interact with the chat like that? Scotty's our best shooter. A lot of these are left wide open. A lot of these threes attempts were wide open. Yeah. Pascal Siakam, 12.5% from three in the last 10 games. I think that's what he shot against the Celtics, if I remember correctly. And then it was the worst three-point shooting in the history of the NBA playoffs, I believe, for a single series, I think. Probably like a certain amount of attempts. But then I think it was the series after that, the Clippers. I think Lou Williams broke it. I think he went 9% from three. So Siakam got lucky with that. But yeah, 12%. And again, these are not threes in the flow of the offense. He's hunting these threes. There was one three where tonight was the end of the shot clock. He had to throw it up. But the other, whatever there were, three or four, he's hunting them, and they're all in the first and second quarter. It's like, it's really bizarre. It's he realizes in the second half to not do it, or somebody tells him not to. Like, I don't know what it is, but I mean, you got to give him credit. He's a really hard worker. Anyone who makes it to the NBA and gets most improved is a really hard worker, but I think trying to develop a skill in season that takes away from the offense at a certain point, like, you just kind of got to have that self-awareness, I think. Like, you got to meditate, do some mushrooms or something, because that thing is ass as well. Like, these are not sexy misses. I do want to go back, and I'm petty like this. There was somebody who I was talking about Pascal's shot mechanics on his three. I think it was 2 or 3 weeks ago. And somebody cut me off in the chat and said his shot is fine in like a very, I don't know if it was the basketball. It was the basketball maven Saga, who has not showed up since then, by the way, the basketball maven, who also said that you can't control how far you shoot a shot, which was, I thought that was very interesting. I guess kind of like anything in the time-space continuum is technically out of your control, but cool. That's a fascinating discussion to have. But yeah, the mechanics on the three, like, it's just, and you see it when he's shooting mid-range, like, it just looks right. Like, it looks better. Like, when he's like 15, 17 feet, he's got a guy on, like semi-contested shot. It just like looks right. It's like, that's the shot he should be taking. And then from three, you just, like last night, I don't know if you were watching the Bulls Bucks game, when Caruso took that three, part of it was the angle. Like, you knew that thing was in. Like, the second that thing left his hand, like, it was like, I would have bet my life and family on that. When Pascal's taking these threes, I mean, does anybody like think these are going in? I mean, it's almost like, must be awkward watching the tape back. Like, I don't know, but it's not in the flow of things. Like, it's 17 seconds into the shot clock. It's pulling up. It's other players are like Scotty's hitting threes in the flow. Why are you then like, I don't get it. And I mean, Pascal probably can't be that happy. You know, Scotty like emerges as this kind of all-world talent and kind of takes your throne. So I don't know what that relationship would be like. I mean, people are obviously super competitive. Um, and yeah, it just continues to be a weird situation. There's games where they play well together. I'm not against talking about that at all. I don't know why people are like against talking about that. I know some people talk about it ad nauseum, but I think it's, you got to talk about it. Like the fit is just, it's just a weird fit. And we've talked about the front office over and over again on this thing, but yeah, a game like tonight, it's like getting some fucking getting some fucking 3-point shooting. Maybe. Like, can we think about this from an organizational standpoint? Can we prioritize this? I know they drafted Grady, who had a good game, by the way. Shouts to Grady. It was during school day. They kept saying that for some reason on the broadcast, that was really cool. They thought that was really cool with the school day thing. But yeah, I don't really know what else to say about this game. Kind of I thought the Pistons Knicks game last night was better. Devin Smith from 10 feet. Pascal gets the ball up high and uses his wrist. Not sure what happens from 3. There's just it looks like from 3, he's just shooting it way harder than he has to, because almost all of his threes miss long, and it looks very, like, here's a good word, laborious. It doesn't look natural. When he's shooting his mid-range, it looks natural. It looks like something he's done and can do a million times. It's fast. It's hard to like describe without the visual in front, but like it's a higher release point. He gets it pretty smoothly from the dribble. There isn't a hitch on it. There is a bit of a hitch on his free throw, but there isn't a hitch on it. Sometimes he kind of hangs a bit, which like you can maybe call a hitch, but it's almost like a advantageous hitch. But from 3, a lot of the times, he's just like, there's so much extension. There's so much like I've said before, it's almost like those tents that just like shoot up and like expand out instantly. And it doesn't look natural. I mean, 3-point shooting doesn't have to look natural. I mean, look at Tyrese Halliburton, look at Nembhard, look at Trae Young. Some of Shea's threes, pretty low release, kind of weird release. But, they work and they go in, so it doesn't matter. So aesthetically, it doesn't really matter. But when it looks like that and it's 12%, like, somebody's got to pull him aside and just be like, dude, like, what are you doing? Like, not that hasn't happened or will not happen, but it's one of those things where, like, my grandma could walk in and watch a game and just be like, probably like, why is he, I don't have any grandmas that are, or no, I do. Yikes. Sorry. Shouts to that grandma, very, very close relationship. But it, like, people who don't watch basketball could probably tune in and watch that 3 and be like, yeah, I don't know about that. Like, I don't think that's, because he's only had 1 season ever at league average, I think. Like, there was 1 season he was like 36, 37. For the rest of it, it's 32, 29, around there. So 12 is kind of nuts. There will be some correction on that. Maybe it goes to 24, doubles it. But it's definitely been one of the more notable things I've noticed this year is how much he wants to be a 3-point shooter. And I'm not saying this is it or anything, but it is kind of funny that, like, it's kind of, as Scotty is actually showing what that would look like from, someone on the team who plays his position. It can't feel good to be shooting like 1% from 3 and Scotty's just like hitting everything. Not sure if Pascal's wired like that, but I think most people, myself included, would kind of be like, damn, that's tough. But yeah. It's not the most exciting team to talk about. So does anybody what's going on in the chat? I do have some new videos coming out soon. Those are always still fun to do. Noel Jacobson. My Zoom is being fucked up, but Nolan Jacobson. They seem to like each other based on body language. They can work well together if everyone else is a true shooter. So this is the theory. This is the Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum theory that Nolan is putting out there. That yeah, they have overlapping talents, but if you put shooters around them, who knows what's going to happen. I mean, I guess that makes sense in theory, but do we really believe that Masai will value shooting? If you're not going to, if it's like, if you're not trading, if you're not trading Siakam, where are you getting that shooting from, Nolan? Where's it going to come from? How are you going to acquire it, Mr. Nolan? What are your answers? You know, we're both NBA GMs here. I'm just trying to pick your brain, Nolan. Tell me how they acquire good shooting while keeping Scotty and Pascal, because that would rock. That'd be like getting blown at Disneyland on Christmas. Like, you just give me everything all at once. How do we do it, Nolan? Tell me. Nolan, for his old man game, Pascal will need to be better at three-point shooter, so I get why he's trying it during the season. I think we have very different life philosophies, me and Nolan. Just the way we look at the world, I think, is different. But I think that's important. Like, you got to have people who, what's the saying or whatever, like, you think it's cool that he's trying to get this going, like, during the season. Pale Fox says, the guy in the Penguin outfit been there the whole time. Yeah, that's my buddy over there. He does a lot of work with the Penguins here. He's actually a big Werner Herzog fan. That's how he got into Penguins. The Nihilist Penguin. You know, if you want to watch something on YouTube that's not real but an incredible little storytelling lesson. Yeah, he was just, he was lost in life, listless. Kind of like how I'm trying to think of responding to Nolan. Just trying to find meaning in the world, and just kind of stumbled on this Werner Herzog documentary about the Penguins. And he went down to South America for a while. Hey, look at him here. Look at him. He's really into the Penguins. He thought March of the Penguins was overrated, but whatever the Werner Herzog documentary about Penguins is called, that I'm forgetting off the top of my head, but the Nihilist Penguin scene, that really changed his life. And he was actually is a pretty good hooper. Like, we play after he's done feeding the Penguins. He's got a nice hezzy. He's kind of like Nolan. He thinks that the Penguins should be developing, the 7-year Penguin in his 7th year here. He should be developing his left flap during the year, not do they hibernate? I don't know if they hibernate, but not like on his own time. The Penguin should be doing it on company time, should be developing himself in his 7th year, as opposed to, so yeah, he's a cool guy. And yeah, go watch that Herzog documentary. It's honestly like a good storytelling tutorial, because obviously he doesn't have access to like the Penguins' internal monologue, but he just kind of like makes it up. But that's what he was good at, so that's why he rules. Pale Fox left flap drills. exactly. Look at these guys walking around here. Oh, here he comes. Let me give him some room here to operate. Oh, he's got a really good rapport with the Penguins too. Like they know that he's the head honcho. Like, but it's a respect thing. Like he wears the yellow as like an ode to. I guess they're not like yellow, but on the edges of the white, they're kind of yellowish. So he does an homage to them. He goes swimming a lot too, which I do as well. And yeah, me and him, we just have a really good time with the Penguins, despite whether or not the Raptors win or lose. And these were all rescues as well. We went down to the Arctic and found a bunch of penguins that needed to be in a warmer climate. There's some penguins that didn't like how cold it was, so they wanted to come up here a little bit, hang out, check out the weather, go swimming in water that's a little bit warmer, and Happy Feet is the best penguin movie of all time. Is it better than the Herzog? What's the Herzog documentary called? I'm shocked that the viewership doesn't drop when I start doing this, but Herzog penguin documentary. What's it called? Antarctica Encounters at the End of the World. Oh, I thought it was like specifically penguins, but either nihilist penguin, deranged penguin. These are all YouTube searches you can do. Depressed penguin, existential crisis of a penguin. So these are all it's all the same scene, but just worded differently. Is this penguin and he's just like walking in the ice, whatever there are, ice fields. I don't know, ice, just where it's all ice. I'm sounding like Trump right now. It's ice. It's all ice. He's walking on the ice. Lots of ice everywhere. There's ice. I can't do Trump. I can do the DeSantis smile where he's like, "Me hungry." There's a lot of sugar in that, man. What is that, soda? That's got a lot of sugar. There's not many penguins in Florida. That's like some of the penguins wanted to go to Florida, but it was too weird, too hot for them. And we'll be underwater by 2048. So, brought them to Ontario instead, me and this guy here. But I think that's going to be it. Go watch the Antarctica documentary. Just go watch the one scene because it's a great masterclass in narrative-driven bullshit storytelling. Any last words? No, it's not March of the Penguins. It's real shit. Look it up. Existential penguin. Depressed penguin. This is just like the one scene you got to watch from that by Werner Herzog. Wonder if Dennis likes Werner Herzog. Very German filmmaker as well. So German YouTuber, German filmmaker. I'm gonna watch that actually. Now that I'm talking about it. Deranged penguin, depressed penguin. Tony Wonder Award goes to Scotty, and Veal Award goes to that. Need some new awards. I think Mocha Joe Award would be good.